I'm Harrison Graham. Here's what's coming up on Chicago Bears Now. Are the Bears going to sign this notable veteran? We'll react to that. Khalil Herbert, is he on the roster bubble, in danger of not making this team? And Justin Fields catching strays online. Not the best thing to wake up to today. I'll explain here in just a moment. But listen, it's summertime. It's hot. I'm going up to Colorado in a couple of weeks to cool off and spend some time with family and some friends. Are you guys going on vacation this summer? If you are, let me know in the comments where you're going to go, if you're comfortable sharing, of course. If not, then say, nah, no vacation this summer. Curious where you guys are going to be traveling. All right, let's get to today's show. Ryan Tannehill to Chicago. ESPN dropped an article basically saying, one move or multiple moves for every team before training camp, and they think the Bears should go out and sign Ryan Tannehill, an idea I talked about multiple times earlier this offseason. Aaron Schatz of ESPN, who mentioned this as an idea, said the Bears believe they put a real playoff contending team around rookie quarterback Caleb Williams. What on earth are they going to do if Williams gets hurt? Tyson Bagent and Brett Rippon are not bringing this team to the playoffs. The Bears should sign the best free agent quarterback left on the market. Very similar points to kind of what I said earlier this offseason. Like, Ryan Tannehill's a veteran. He's been there. He's done that. If Caleb Williams goes down, in theory, he could at least hold down the fort with the amount of weapons that this team has. And obviously, look, I like Tyson Bagent, and we're going to talk about Tyson Bagent, but he's still somewhat of an unknown commodity. I think we know that he's worthy of being on a 53-man roster, that the pressure isn't going to get to him. But is he good enough to hold down the fort if Caleb Williams were to go down? I think we know Brett Rippon's not. He's just a vet in that QB room. Austin Reed, UDFA, haven't heard much of anything of him since they added him after the draft. And Ryan Tannehill has a wealth of experience. Conventional wisdom would say Ryan Tannehill is a clear upgrade over Tyson Bagent as the Bears quarterback in the year of 2024. You look at Ryan Tannehill's resume, he's played a lot of football, he's won a lot of games, 151 starts, 81-70 record. He's been to an AFC championship game, he's earned a number one seed in the AFC, he's thrown for almost 35,000 yards, has over 100 touchdowns than interceptions, he's a decent athlete, can run a little bit as well. But then you look at just last year, Ryan Tannehill, who went 3-5 as a starter, Tyson Bagent 2-2. Completion percentage, slight advantage Bagent. Passing yards, when you kind of get to the volume, kind of similar, both in that kind of 200-ish yards per game when you add up their starts. Touchdown interception, both -3. QB rating, slight advantage Tannehill, but not by much. Rush TD, actually slight advantage Bagent. Let's be honest, they played at a similar level last year. Now, could you argue Bagent had a slightly better situation? I don't know, actually. I mean, say what you want about Tennessee, they still had DeAndre Hopkins. Now, we'll say, even though the Bears' offensive line wasn't great, it was probably a little better than the Titans. Theirs was kind of a mess, but they had Derrick Henry. Ryan Tannehill didn't play that well last year. That's just the honest truth. So if you're signing him, you're saying, okay, if he needs to play, he is a notable upgrade over Tyson Bagent. And if you're basing it off just last year, that actually isn't the case. Doesn't mean it wouldn't be the case, but I think you'd have to factor that in. Now, just in a vacuum for this team, let's say, I don't know, they have to start 4 games. Who gives the Bears the better chance to win those 4 games? Type RT for Ryan Tannehill. Type TB for Tyson Bagent. Pen comment on today's show. Let me know what you guys think. Even though they played at a similar level last year, I still would trust Tannehill, especially in a high-leverage situation. That being said, I'm not going to give him like $10 million per year. Like, if he's open to a $4 or $5 million one-year deal and is, completely content being the backup, like, I'm open to it. I still like Tyson Bagent as a backup, especially long-term. But I think there is value in having a guy like Tannehill in that room. And if he does have to play, I do think he gives you a better chance than Bagent. But when I looked into this further, I don't think it was as close as I didn't expect it to be as close as I thought. Like, I understand if they're looking at this like, guys, Tannehill's over the hill. Like, Bagent played at a similar level last year, which he kind of did. So I certainly see both sides. But if the price was cheap enough, I would still consider it. All right, speaking of quarterbacks, how about QB1? You want to get Caleb Williams' jersey? You can. Chatsports.com/Caleb. We'll get that link in the comments and in the description for you guys. That way you can click and shop today. Chatsports.com/Caleb. Get yourself a Caleb Williams Bears jersey. Right now, you'll get it well before the season. Chatsports.com/Caleb. All right, let's shift to a current Chicago Bear. From Ryan Tannehill to Khalil Herbert. Is Herbert on the roster bubble? Adam Jahns of The Athletic believes that Herbert's roster spot could be in jeopardy. He recently did a 53-man roster projection following minicamp and OTAs. Did have Herbert making it, but wrote this little snippet. He said, "How will the touches shake out in the backfield? Swift is the Bears' new starter. That was apparent during the offseason program. Herbert and Johnson, Roschon, also worked with Caleb Williams and the starters, and yet it wouldn't be surprising if Herbert is considered on the bubble at Halas Hall. He's in a contract year, and the Bears drafted Johnson last year and signed Swift this year." Now, I'll just say this. I believe Khalil Herbert is too valuable and too good of a player to just straight up cut. If he was, in year 7, even if the production was similar, I'd be like, okay, I get it. He's not going to do much on special teams, although Khalil Herbert can be a kick returner, and with the new rules, he could be a candidate there, depending on what happens with Velus Jones. But he's still young. He's still got some juice. I think he's too good of a player to cut. I mean, you look at what he's proven with you over 3 seasons since being drafted back in 2021. He's been a good player all 3 years. 2022 was his best year. Last year he had the high ankle sprain, missed some time, but still averaged 4.6 yards per carry. I think last year proved he's not a lead back, which is why they signed DeAndre Swift, but he's still a very good number 2. He's a really good runner, especially in this scheme the Bears run. Okay pass catcher, not great, not a very good pass protector, which that could be costly in terms of these evaluations at Halas Hall. Yet on the flip side, even though I'm hyping up Herbert, and we've talked about this before, could you trade Khalil? We'll get to that in a second. Do they want to enter another year with Roschon Johnson as the RB3? They drafted him in the 4th round last year. He showed some good promise, over 500 offensive yards, catching and running. He's a better all-around back. I think Herbert's the better runner, but I think Roschon's a better all-around back. He can pass protect. He can catch a little better. I think he's got more overall special teams value. And he's got 3 years left in his rookie deal where Herbert has 1. So if you're projecting down the line, it's like, yeah, like if you're picking one, you're picking Roschon Johnson. But for this year, what's the resolution? Well, I think what you do is Swift is clearly the starter. You expect Herbert and Johnson to compete for that RB2 role. But even if Johnson wins it and they want him in that role, I'm still not cutting Khalil Herbert. Now, I've said it before. Would I consider trading him? For like a 5th round pick, I would. If it's a 6th or 7th, I don't know if that's worth it because I know what Khalil Herbert can do here. We've seen him produce. But if it's a 5th round pick and you're like, we're not re-signing you and Roschon's RB2, at that point I'd be like, yeah, I would consider doing it. So keep an eye on this. If there's a notable injury around the league during training camp and a team comes calling, I wouldn't be shocked if the Bears moved him. But to straight up cut him, I think he's too valuable to not be on the 53-man roster. All right, what do you guys think happens with Khalil Herbert here? Type K for keep him, type T for trade him, or type C for cut him? I've got to think it's K or T. Like I would be surprised if he straight up got cut, but let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. All right, let's get to the funny, but not so funny, but kind of funny story of the day. Justin Fields catching strays in the Madden trailer. Here's a screenshot from it. He's returning the opening play from the trailer. He's returning a kick, and he ends up handing it off to fellow former Bear, Cordero Patterson, for a reverse. And you're just like, okay, Madden ran with this loose rumor that Justin Fields could be used as a kick returner, which no one has said that in terms of coaching staff in Pittsburgh is actually going to be the case. And they lead off the trailer with it. I mean, that's kind of wild when you really think about it. Now, I've always said he could be a hell of a returner because he's that good of an athlete, but he's a quarterback until he's not. And look, I get it. Like, people have thrown shade at Justin. I think he has limitations as a passer, but I still think he can have some success in this league. Like, I'm not Taysom Hilling him at this point in his career if I'm Pittsburgh, but maybe that's his role down the road. I don't know. I'll say this. Madden caught my attention. if they wanted people to talk about the game, they accomplished that. I mean, Justin Fields returning the opening kick of the trailer. I mean, that is a bold move by EA Sports, and you'd love to know, like, you'd love to be a fly on the wall inside of Justin Fields' brain when he saw that, because you know he's seen it, and you're just like, I mean, is he laughing at that? Is he like, fuck this? I don't know. I mean, that's pretty entertaining, but it's gonna be very interesting to see how his situation plays out in Pittsburgh. Will you guys buy Madden 25? Type Y for yes and for no. I probably won't this year. I bought it last year, played a little bit, but not much. We're obviously doing these Madden simulations during the downtime of the summer, but I doubt I buy it this next year, if I'm being completely honest, especially with NCAA coming back. That'll be where a good chunk of my money is going to come, because I got to buy a new console since it's not coming out on PC. EA Sports, if you're listening to me, please change your mind on that, but doesn't seem like they're gonna. But Y for yes and for no. Let me know if you will buy a copy of Madden 25. All right, that's going to do it for our Bears news and rumors segment. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, turn on the notifications. We greatly appreciate it here on Chicago Bears Now.